My brother-in-law banned me from the wedding until his attack on my mom went viral on TikTok after she politely mentioned that his previous fiancée was a nicer girl during Sunday lunch at our house. He threw the lasagna dish my mom had spent 3 hours making straight onto the floor and said, "This is why your kids prefer my side of the family." My 8-year-old son was live streaming on his tablet playing Cooking Show, and the 200 random viewers saw everything, including when my brother-in-law kicked our dog who came to lick the food. The room went silent except for the sound of our golden retriever whimpering as he scrambled under the table. My mom stood frozen, tomato sauce splattered across her cream cardigan, the one I'd given her for her birthday last month. My sister Emily just stared at her fiancé Trevor like she'd never seen him before, but she didn't say a word. Not one word to defend our mother. I watched Trevor's chest heaving, his face still red with rage, and I noticed something interesting. He kept glancing at his phone on the counter, at the notifications lighting up the screen. My son Liam sat at the kids' table with his tablet propped against the juice pitcher, his little face pale and confused. I walked over calmly, picked up my wine glass from where it had somehow survived the chaos, and took a slow sip. Then I smiled at Trevor. "That was quite a performance," I said quietly. "I hope it was worth it." I'm a family law attorney, and I've been watching Trevor manipulate my younger sister for the past 18 months. He isolated her from her college friends, convinced her to quit her job at the art gallery because it didn't pay enough, and slowly started treating our family dinners like obligations he was graciously fulfilling. Emily used to be vibrant, funny, always sketching in her notebooks during conversations. Now she wore the clothes he picked out, apologized for everything, and barely made eye contact. Our mom had been so careful today, trying to make conversation, and her comment about his previous fiancé had been genuinely innocent. She'd met Vanessa twice at charity events, and remembered her kindness. But Trevor had been waiting for an excuse. I could see it in how quickly he'd exploded. What Trevor didn't know was that I'd been documenting everything. Every condescending comment, every time Emily flinched when he raised his voice, every family gathering where he'd made someone cry. I had recordings, text messages, and now, apparently, live video evidence of assault and animal cruelty, broadcast to strangers who were probably already screen recording. My phone buzzed in my pocket, then again, and again. My mom started crying quietly, her hands shaking as she bent down to pick up pieces of the shattered ceramic dish her own mother had given her. Emily finally moved, rushing to Trevor's side, touching his arm like he was the victim. "Babe, let's just go. I'm sorry, I should have told Mom not to." He cut her off. "Pack your stuff. We're leaving. And your sister isn't coming to the wedding. I don't care if she's supposed to be your maid of honor. She's always judging me, looking at me like I'm not good enough for this family." I set down my wine glass and pulled out my phone, watching the notifications multiply across my screen. Liam's tablet stream was still live, and the viewer count had jumped to over 6,000. People were commenting in real time, recording clips, tagging accounts. Someone had already identified our town from the calendar visible in the background. Trevor grabbed Emily's wrist, not hard enough to leave a mark, but firm enough that I saw her wince, and pulled her toward the door. My dad, who'd been grilling in the backyard and missed the explosion, walked in holding a platter of chicken. "What happened to the lasagna?" Trevor didn't even look back. "Ask your perfect daughter, Rebecca. She can explain everything to you." The door slammed behind them. I knelt down next to my mom, gathering broken ceramic pieces into my palm, feeling the smooth painted edges her mother had touched decades ago. Liam's small voice came from behind me. "Mommy, people are saying mean things about Uncle Trevor in the comments. They're really, really mad." I looked at my son's tablet screen. The video had been clipped and reposted by a popular account called Entitled People Exposed, with 14 million followers. In the span of 20 minutes, Trevor's face, his voice screaming at my elderly mother, the image of his designer shoe connecting with our dog's ribs, had been seen by hundreds of thousands of people. Someone had already identified him as Trevor Michael Ashford, senior sales manager at Brennan Financial Group. Multiple people tagged his employer. Someone else found his LinkedIn, his Instagram, his Facebook. Every social media platform was being flooded with the video. My dad stood in the doorway, the platter of grilled chicken slowly tilting in his hands as he processed the scene, His wife covered in red sauce, their daughter and her fiancé gone, shattered dishes everywhere, and me, strangely calm, scrolling through my phone. Rebecca, what on earth happened? I watched another repost hit 1 million views. Trevor just gave us exactly what we needed, I said, and he has absolutely no idea what's coming. The video was everywhere now. TikTok, Instagram Reels, Twitter, Facebook. Man attacks elderly woman over lasagna was trending. The comments section was a tsunami of rage. People found Trevor's company website within an hour. His professional headshot, smug smile, expensive suit, arms crossed like he owned the world, was being turned into memes. "This you?" people commented, posting screenshots of him kicking our dog next to his corporate bio about integrity and family values. Brennan Financial Group's main line was apparently ringing off the hook. Their social media intern was deleting comments as fast as they appeared. But you can't delete the internet once it decides someone deserves destruction. Emily called me 17 times that evening. I let every single call go to voicemail. On the 18th attempt, she left a message, her voice small and desperate. "Becca, please. Trevor's boss called him. People are showing up at his apartment building. Someone threw eggs at his car. His mom is getting harassed. You have to tell people this was all a misunderstanding. You have to fix this. Please." I saved the voicemail. Then I opened my laptop and began drafting documents I'd been preparing for months. Documents that would ensure my sister could escape when she was ready. Documents that would protect our family's assets from Trevor's inevitable reach. But first, I needed to make sure Trevor's world burned completely. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. "Is this Rebecca Morrison? I'm a producer at Inside Story. We'd like to interview you about the viral video of your brother-in-law. We're running a segment on domestic violence warning signs. Interested?" I smiled and started typing my response. Trevor wanted to isolate Emily from her family. He was about to learn that attacking my mother was the worst strategic mistake of his life. The next morning, Trevor's face was on the local news. I sat in my office at the law firm watching the segment on my computer while sipping coffee that had gone cold an hour ago. The anchor wore that practiced expression of concern as they showed the clip, pixelated enough to claim journalistic discretion, but clear enough that everyone recognized him. "Local financial executive caught on camera in disturbing altercation," the headline read. My paralegal knocked and entered without waiting. "Rebecca, your sister is in the lobby. She's not doing well." Emily looked like she hadn't slept. Her eyes were swollen, her hair unwashed and pulled into a messy bun, wearing Trevor's oversized sweatshirt like armor. She wouldn't meet my gaze as she collapsed into the chair across from my desk. "They fired him," she whispered. "Brennan let him go this morning. Said they couldn't have someone with his public image issues representing their brand. He has 3 months of severance and that's it. Becca, he's destroyed. People are leaving death threats on his social media. Someone created a petition to ban him from every restaurant in the county. His own mother won't answer his calls because reporters showed up at her assisted living facility." I set down my coffee mug carefully. "And what about Mom's ceramic dish? The one Grandma gave her? Is that getting put back together?" Emily's face crumpled. "It was just a dish. He was upset. Mom shouldn't have mentioned Vanessa like that. You know how sensitive he is about—" "Stop." My voice cut through her excuses like a blade. "Listen to yourself. You're defending a man who threw food at our mother, called her cooking garbage, and kicked our family dog hard enough that Dad had to take Bailey to the emergency vet last night for bruised ribs. Do you even know that part? Were you too busy comforting Trevor to ask about the dog?" The color drained from her face. "Bailey's hurt?" "Bruised ribs, possible internal trauma. They kept him overnight for observation. Cost $800. But sure, let's talk about how sensitive Trevor is." I pulled up the video on my screen, turned it toward her. "Watch it again. Really watch it. Not through the lens of someone making excuses for him. Watch what everyone else in the world is seeing." She shook her head violently, squeezing her eyes shut. "I can't. I've seen it enough. Every time I open my phone, someone sent it to me. My old college roommate, people I haven't talked to in years, my former boss, everyone. They're all asking if I'm safe, if I need help, telling me to leave him." Her voice dropped to barely a whisper. But they don't understand. Trevor's under so much pressure. The wedding is in 6 weeks. His career is ruined. He needs me right now. I can't abandon him when he's at his lowest. I leaned back in my chair, studying my sister like she was a stranger. You know what I do for a living, Em? I represent people escaping situations exactly like yours. I see the patterns so clearly it makes me sick. He isolates you, makes you dependent, then escalates. Yesterday was escalation. Next time, the lasagna dish hits Mom's face instead of the floor. Or it's you he's throwing things at. Or he's telling you the bruises are your fault because you made him angry. Trevor would never. He already did. I opened my desk drawer, pulled out a folder I'd been building for months, and dropped it in front of her. Text messages where he calls you stupid, photos you sent me where you're clearly upset after he's berated you, voice memos you left me crying because he told you your art was a waste of time. The time he grabbed your arm at Dad's birthday and left finger-shaped bruises. You showed them to me, remember? Said you bruise easily. I documented everything because I knew we'd end up here. Emily stared at the folder like it was a snake. You've been building a case against my fiancé? I've been protecting my sister from a man I knew would hurt her. I pushed the folder closer. This isn't about revenge. This is about showing you what everyone else already sees. Trevor is abusive. Maybe not with his fists yet, but emotionally, psychologically. And now we have video proof of physical violence. You think yesterday was rock bottom? That was him when he still had something to lose. Now he has nothing. No job, no reputation, no control. What do you think happens when a man like that feels cornered? She grabbed the folder suddenly, shoving it back across the desk at me. You did this. You and Liam with that stupid tablet. If he hadn't been streaming, none of this would have happened. Trevor would still have his job. We'd still be planning our wedding. Everything would be fine. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Everything would be fine? Listen to yourself. You're more concerned about his job than Mom's safety, than your own safety. I love him. She said it like that explained everything, justified everything. I know he has a temper. I know he's not perfect. But neither am I. I pushed his buttons yesterday. I should have warned Mom not to mention Vanessa. I know that's a trigger for him. A trigger. I repeated the word slowly, tasting the absurdity of it. Our mother making polite conversation is a trigger that justifies assault and animal abuse. Emily stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. I came here hoping you'd help us. Maybe make a statement saying the video was taken out of context, or that Mom wasn't actually hurt or something. Trevor's lawyer said if the family publicly forgives him, it might help with the assault charges. Assault charges? This was new information. Who pressed charges? Some animal rights group saw the video and reported him. The DA's office called this morning. They're investigating for animal cruelty and potential elder abuse since Mom is 67. Emily's voice turned bitter. This is what you wanted, isn't it? You've always hated him. You thought he wasn't good enough for me. Now you've got your wish. He's losing everything. I stood, walking around my desk to face her directly. What I want is for my sister to wake up and see she's engaged to a man who will eventually put her in the hospital. What I want is for you to value yourself enough to walk away. What I want is to not have to identify your body someday because you loved a man more than you loved your own life. The words hung between us, brutal and true. Emily's face hardened. You're not invited to the wedding? Neither is Mom or Dad or anyone else from this family. We'll elope if we have to. And when we're married, when Trevor gets through this and finds a new job and we build our life together, don't expect me to come crawling back. She turned toward the door. He was right about you. You're jealous. You've been divorced for 3 years and you can't stand that I found someone. I'm divorced because I was smart enough to leave when I saw the red flags, I called after her. You're about to marry yours. She slammed the door hard enough that my law degree rattled on the wall. I stood in the silence of my office, my hands shaking with anger and fear and something that felt like grief. My phone buzzed. A text from my mom. Is Emily okay? She won't answer my calls. Trevor sent me a horrible message saying I ruined their lives and I'm a terrible mother. I can't stop crying. Another text came through. this one from a number I didn't recognize. Ms. Morrison, this is Detective Sarah Chen from the County DA's office. We need to speak with you regarding the incident involving Trevor Ashford. We're also concerned about potential ongoing domestic violence. Please call me at your earliest convenience. I saved both messages, then opened my laptop and began typing an email to 3 domestic violence shelters, a therapist friend who specialized in abuse survivors, and my own lawyer. Trevor wanted to play victim. He wanted to turn Emily against her entire family. He wanted to burn bridges and make threats. He'd just made the second worst mistake of his life. The first was showing his true nature on camera. The second was underestimating exactly how far I'd go to protect my sister, whether she wanted protection or not. My phone rang. Inside Story producer. I answered with a smile in my voice. Hello, this is Rebecca Morrison. Yes, I'd be happy to do that interview. And I have additional documentation you might find interesting for your segment on domestic violence warning signs. The interview aired 4 days later during prime time. I sat in my living room with my parents and Liam, watching myself on their 40-inch screen explaining the patterns of abuse, holding up printed screenshots of Trevor's messages to Emily. The producers had blurred the worst language, but the intent was crystal clear. When someone isolates their partner from family and friends, when they control finances, when they react with disproportionate rage to minor comments, these are warning signs, I said calmly into the camera. The anchor nodded sympathetically, then rolled the footage again. Trevor's contorted face, the crash of ceramic, our dog yelping. My phone had been silent for 3 days. No calls from Emily. But I knew she was watching. Everyone was watching. The segment had been promoted all week. My mom gripped my dad's hand, tears sliding down her cheeks as she watched her youngest daughter's fiancé being dissected on national television. Maybe this is too much, she whispered. Maybe we should have just let it go. Let it go? My dad's voice was sharp, unusual for him. Martha, that man put our dog in the hospital. He could have seriously hurt you. And our daughter is defending him. No, we're not letting anything go. Liam leaned against my side, unusually quiet. He hadn't touched his tablet since Sunday, like the device itself was contaminated. The comments he'd read that day, the hundreds of thousands of strangers angry on our behalf, had shaken something loose in his understanding of the world. The segment ended with resources for domestic violence victims. The screen faded to commercial. My phone immediately exploded with notifications. Messages of support, interview requests, 3 separate book agents asking if I'd consider writing about recognizing abuse in relationships. And then, buried in the avalanche, a text from an unknown number. You destroyed my life. I hope you're proud. When Emily leaves me, when I lose everything, her blood is on your hands. You did this. I screenshot the message and forwarded it directly to Detective Chen. She called within 5 minutes. Ms. Morrison, that's a direct threat. I'm sending officers to check on your sister's welfare and to have a conversation with Mr. Ashford about witness intimidation. He's spiraling, I said, my voice steady despite the ice spreading through my chest. Men like Trevor are most dangerous when they lose control. I know, Detective Chen said quietly. I've worked these cases for 12 years. The video actually helped us more than you know. We pulled his record, 2 domestic disturbance calls at his previous address. Both times the girlfriend declined to press charges. A restraining order filed and then dropped by the woman before Vanessa. Your brother-in-law has a pattern, and now we have undeniable evidence. After the call ended, I sat staring at my phone, that text message glowing on the screen. Her blood is on your hands. I felt my dad's hand on my shoulder. You did the right thing, Becca. Whatever happens now, you tried to protect her. But what if trying wasn't enough? 2 hours later, Emily called. Her voice was flat, emotionless, like she'd been hollowed out. The police came. They questioned Trevor for an hour. They searched the apartment. They took his laptop and his phone. He's completely unraveling. He hasn't eaten in 3 days. He sits on the couch staring at the wall. The wedding venue called. Someone sent them the video and they're canceling our contract, keeping our deposit of $12,000. His parents finally called, but only to tell him he's an embarrassment to the family. I'm not finished. Her voice hardened. He showed me the text he sent you. The police told him it was stupid, that he could be charged with witness intimidation. He's sorry. He was drunk. He's losing his mind watching his entire life implode on the internet. And you know what the worst part is? I waited. You were right, the words came out broken. I watched the video again. Really watched it like you said. I saw his face when he looked at Mom. He wanted to hurt her, Becca. It wasn't just anger. He wanted her to feel small and scared. And then I started thinking about all the times he's looked at me that way, and I realized I've been making myself smaller and smaller, apologizing for existing, walking on eggshells so I don't set him off. I'm 29 years old, and I'm terrified of my own fiancé. Where are you right now? I asked carefully. His apartment, he's in the bedroom. I'm in the bathroom with the door locked. Her breathing was shaky. I tried to leave this morning, packed a bag while he was in the shower. He saw me with my suitcase and he just broke down, crying, begging, saying he'd kill himself if I left. Showed me a bottle of pills, said I was all he had left, that losing me would be the final thing that destroyed him. So I unpacked. And now I'm sitting on the bathroom floor realizing I'm trapped. My heart was pounding. Listen to me very carefully. That's a manipulation tactic. The suicide threats, the breakdown, making you responsible for his life, that's how abusers keep their victims from leaving. You're not trapped. I can have someone there in 20 minutes. He'll hear me leave. The apartment is small. He's watching the front door. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Becca, I'm scared. Not of him hitting me, but of what he'll do to himself. And then everyone will say, I killed him. That I abandoned him when he needed me most. They'll say I'm the villain. No, I said firmly. Anyone who says that is wrong. You're not responsible for his choices. If he hurts himself, that's on him, not you. But if you stay, eventually he will hurt you. The statistics are brutal. This pattern always escalates. Silence. Then, can you come get me? Right now? I'll text you when he's asleep. He took something earlier, some anxiety medication. He should pass out soon. Can you just be ready? I'm getting in my car right now, I said, grabbing my keys. Text me the second it's safe. I'll be circling the neighborhood. 10 minutes away maximum. Becca? Her voice was small, like she was 12 again, asking me to check her closet for monsters. I'm sorry I said those things. About you being jealous. About ruining the wedding. You were trying to save me, and I was too stupid to see it. You're not stupid. You're scared and manipulated, and you loved someone who didn't deserve it. None of this is your fault. I heard a noise on her end, a door opening. He's up. I have to go. I'll text you. The line went dead. I drove to Trevor's neighborhood, a generic apartment complex 20 minutes from downtown, parking in the lot of a closed real estate office across the street where I had a clear view of his building. My phone sat in the cup holder, volume turned all the way up, waiting. The minutes crawled past. 30 minutes. An hour. I texted her. Are you okay? No response. I called. Voicemail. Called again. Voicemail. 2 hours after her call, my phone finally buzzed, but it wasn't Emily. It was a video message from Trevor's phone. My hands shook as I pressed play. The video was dark, shaky, clearly filmed in rage. Trevor's face appeared, red and swollen from crying. This is what you wanted, right, Rebecca? To break us up? To ruin my fucking life? Well, congratulations. You win. The camera swung around, showing Emily sitting on their couch, her face turned away, shoulders hunched. Tell your sister what you decided, babe. Tell her. Emily's voice was barely audible. I'm staying. We're working through this. That's right. Trevor's voice was venomous. Because unlike you, some people understand forgiveness. Some people don't throw away relationships the second things get difficult. Emily knows what we have is real. She's not abandoning me like everyone else. The camera swung back to Trevor's face. Stay out of our lives. Stop giving interviews. Stop playing the hero. You're not welcome at our wedding. You're not welcome in our future. And if I find out you've contacted Emily again, I'll make sure you regret it. We're moving. Somewhere far away from your toxic family. Somewhere we can start over. The video ended. I sat in my car, hands gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. He'd gotten to her, broken her down, convinced her that leaving would make her the villain. I looked up at Trevor's apartment, lights glowing behind drawn curtains, and felt something cold and sharp crystallize in my chest. Trevor wanted to play games. He wanted to threaten me. He wanted to take my sister somewhere isolated where no one could protect her. He'd just made his third and final mistake. I didn't go home that night. Instead, I went to my office and pulled up every resource I'd accumulated over 15 years as a family law attorney. By sunrise, I had compiled a 70-page dossier on Trevor Michael Ashford, his credit report showing mounting debt, and 3 maxed-out cards. Court records from a DUI 5 years ago he'd failed to mention to Emily. Statements from Vanessa, his previous fiancée, who I'd tracked down through mutual connections, and who'd agreed to document their relationship after I explained the situation. Her testimony was damning. Forced isolation from friends, financial control, an incident where he'd shoved her into a wall and then convinced her she'd tripped. But the most interesting discovery came from a deep dive into Brennan Financial Group's internal policies. Trevor hadn't just been fired for public image issues. My contact in HR, a woman I'd helped win a discrimination case 3 years ago, quietly confirmed he'd been under investigation for misrepresenting client portfolios. Nothing provable enough for criminal charges, but enough that his termination was for cause, not the PR disaster, which meant no severance. He'd lied to Emily about that too. Detective Chen called at 7 a.m. We executed a search warrant on Ashford's digital devices. Ms. Morrison, we found concerning material. Messages to your sister that constitute emotional abuse, threats to previous partners, and evidence of financial coercion. We have enough for stalking and harassment charges related to the text he sent you. We're building a case. How long? I asked. Days, maybe a week. We want this airtight. She paused. Your sister hasn't responded to our wellness checks. We've called. We've visited. Ashford answers the door, says she's fine, won't let us see her. Legally, our hands are tied unless she cooperates, or we have evidence of immediate danger. He's isolating her. I felt panic rising. That video he sent last night was a hostage video. Can't you see that? She's not free to leave. I see it, Chen said quietly, but I need her to tell us that. Or we need him to make another mistake. Right now, we wait and document everything. I couldn't wait. I called Emily 17 times that day. Every call went to voicemail. I drove past the apartment 3 times. Trevor's car was there, curtains drawn, no movement. I contacted their landlord using official letterhead, requesting information about the lease. It was only in Trevor's name. Emily had no legal right to the apartment, no protection if he decided to lock her out or refuse to let her leave. She was completely dependent on him. On the 3rd day of silence, a package arrived at my office. Inside was Emily's engagement ring, my grandmother's pearl necklace she'd borrowed months ago, and her house key to our parents' place. No note, just her belongings, returned like artifacts from a life she'd decided to leave behind. My mom sobbed when I showed her. She's saying goodbye. He's convinced her to cut us off completely. But that night, at 2 a.m, my phone buzzed with a text from Emily's number. It's not Emily, it's Trevor. She's asleep. I need you to understand something. I love her. Everything I've done has been because I love her. Your family tried to tear us apart, but we're stronger than that. We're leaving the state tomorrow, starting fresh. You'll never hear from us again. Tell your parents they lost a daughter because they couldn't accept me. Tell them this is their fault. I screenshot everything and sent it to Detective Chen. She called back immediately. That's it. That's interstate flight to avoid prosecution. We can't let him take her across state lines. I'm requesting an emergency protective order and a warrant. Be ready to move when I call. I stayed awake all night, watching my phone, waiting. The call came at 6 a.m. We're executing the warrant now. Officers are en route. I need you to stay back, but be available in case your sister needs immediate family support. I drove to the apartment complex, parking where I could see the entrance. 3 police cars, lights off, pulled into the lot. Officers approached Trevor's door. Knocked. Announced themselves. I watched from a distance, my heart pounding so hard I felt sick. The door opened. Trevor stood there in wrinkled clothes, his face gaunt and unshaven. He started arguing immediately, his voice carrying across the parking lot even though I couldn't make out words. An officer pushed past him. 2 more followed. I saw movement in the window, shadows behind the curtains. 5 minutes passed. 10. Then Emily appeared in the doorway, wrapped in a blanket, her face pale and confused. An officer guided her away from Trevor, who was now shouting, his hands gesturing wildly. I got out of my car, crossing the parking lot. An officer held up a hand. "Ma'am, stay back." "I'm her sister. Detective Chen called me." The officer spoke into his radio, then nodded. "Wait here." I watched as they searched the apartment. Watched as Trevor was handcuffed, still shouting. Watched as he screamed Emily's name, begging her to tell them this was all a mistake. She didn't look at him. She stared at the ground, shaking, silent. Detective Chen emerged from the apartment holding evidence bags, pill bottles, Emily's phone, which Trevor had apparently been monitoring, a notebook where he'd documented her daily movements, who she spoke to, what she ate, a level of control that made my skin crawl. Chen approached me. "We found enough for multiple charges: unlawful restraint, stalking, violating the emergency protective order we filed last night, and the previous assault and animal cruelty charges. He's going away for a while." "Can I see her?" I gestured toward Emily, who was now sitting in an ambulance, a paramedic checking her vitals. Chen nodded. "Keep it brief. We need to get her statement." I approached slowly, like Emily was a wounded animal who might bolt. She looked up as I got close, and her eyes were empty. "He said you'd come. He said you'd turn me against him. He was right." Her voice was mechanical, rehearsed. It's okay. You're safe now." "Am I?" She laughed, a broken sound. "Becca, I don't know what's real anymore. He showed me messages you allegedly sent trying to break us up. He said you were poisoning everyone against him. He said the video was edited to make him look worse. He explained everything so many times that I started to believe him. And then yesterday, I found my phone hidden in his drawer. I saw the real messages. Everyone trying to reach me. You, Mom, Dad, friends. He'd been deleting everything and responding as me, telling people I was fine and wanted space. Tears started flowing, breaking through the numbness. I've lost 3 weeks. 3 weeks where I thought you all hated me, where I thought I'd made my choice and had to live with it. He was planning to drive me to his cousin's place in Idaho tomorrow, said we'd get married there, start over. I asked what about my stuff, my art supplies, my cat. He said we'd get new things, that the old life was toxic. She grabbed my hand. I almost went. I almost believed that starting over meant leaving everything and everyone I loved. How did I get here? How did I become this person? "You're not that person," I said firmly. "You're a victim of someone very skilled at manipulation, but you're out now. You're safe, and we're going to make sure he never does this to anyone else." Trevor's voice rang out from the patrol car, muffled but clear enough. "Emily, tell them you wanted to leave. Tell them you love me." She didn't turn around, didn't acknowledge him, just squeezed my hand tighter and whispered, "Take me home." The trial was 4 months later, but Trevor's destruction was immediate and total. The evidence Detective Chen had compiled created a prosecution case so airtight that Trevor's attorney advised him to take a plea deal. He refused, convinced he could charm a jury the way he'd charmed Emily. He was wrong. I sat in the courtroom every single day, watching Trevor's facade crumble. The prosecutor presented the video first, the one that started everything, and the jury watched in silence as Trevor threw my mother's dish and kicked our dog. Then came Vanessa's testimony about the wall incident, about the financial control, about the pattern of escalating violence. Then Emily took the stand. My sister had changed in 4 months. She'd moved back in with our parents, started therapy 3 times a week, and slowly begun painting again. Her art had shifted from soft watercolors to harsh, angular pieces that displayed raw pain transformed into something powerful. She'd gained weight back, stopped flinching at loud noises, and most importantly, stopped making excuses. The prosecutor asked her to describe the 3 weeks of isolation. Emily's voice was steady as she explained how Trevor had hidden her phone, monitored her movements, told her that her family had abandoned her, how he'd shown her fabricated messages proving we all hated her, how he'd convinced her that leaving the state was the only way to save their relationship. "I believed him because I wanted to believe him," Emily said. "I'd invested so much into this relationship, into the idea of who he could be, that admitting the truth felt like admitting I'd wasted 2 years of my life. But those 2 years weren't wasted. They taught me exactly what I'll never tolerate again." Trevor's attorney tried to paint Emily as bitter, as someone seeking revenge for a failed relationship. He suggested she was exaggerating, that her family had coached her, that the video was taken out of context. The prosecutor let him finish, then presented the notebook Trevor had kept. Page after page of Emily's daily activities, who she spoke to, what time she came home. Notes like, "Talked to sister too long, need to remind her family doesn't support us," and "Caught her sketching again, need to emphasize art is not a real career." The jury's faces shifted from skeptical to horrified. Then came the expert testimony about coercive control, about patterns of abuse, about how Trevor's behavior textbook matched profiles of domestic abusers. My own testimony focused on Trevor's escalation, the threats he'd made, the video he'd sent trying to intimidate me. The prosecutor played that video for the jury, and I watched several jurors visibly recoil at Trevor's venom. The defense's case fell apart quickly. Trevor took the stand against his attorney's advice, and it was like watching a man detonate his own life. He couldn't help himself. He blamed Emily for being too sensitive, blamed my mother for starting the conflict, blamed me for having it out for him from day one. He called the notebook a relationship journal, meant to help him be a better partner. He said the hidden phone was because Emily had an internet addiction he was trying to help her overcome. With each word, he proved everything we'd said about him. The jury deliberated for 3 hours, guilty on all counts: assault, animal cruelty, unlawful restraint, stalking, witness intimidation. The judge sentenced him to 4 years in prison, followed by 5 years probation with mandatory domestic violence counseling. Trevor's face went white. He turned in his seat, looking directly at Emily. "You did this," he said, his voice shaking. "You destroyed my life because I loved you." Emily looked him in the eye for the first time in months. "No. You destroyed your own life the moment you decided your ego mattered more than basic human decency. I hope you spend every day of those 4 years understanding what you lost." But prison was only the beginning of Trevor's unraveling. The video had continued its life on the internet, resurfacing every few months as a cautionary tale. "Remember Lasagna Guy?" became a meme. His face was permanently attached to articles about toxic masculinity, domestic abuse red flags, and anger management. Potential employers Googled his name and found thousands of results, all devastating. No reputable financial firm would touch him. He couldn't escape his own actions. His family had cut him off completely after his mother received death threats. His father released a public statement condemning Trevor's actions and saying they were ashamed to be associated with him. His few remaining friends had distanced themselves during the trial. Trevor was utterly alone. 6 months into his sentence, I received a letter. Forwarded through my office, screened by Detective Chen to ensure it contained no threats. Trevor's handwriting was cramped and desperate. "I've had a lot of time to think. The other inmates found out why I'm here. They've seen the video. Let's just say people in prison don't appreciate men who hurt women and animals. Every day is hell. I'm in protective custody, but that just means 23 hours alone with my thoughts. I understand now. I was wrong. About everything. The anger management counseling they make me do here has helped me see the patterns. I was my father, repeating the same abuse I swore I'd never become. I'm sorry. I know sorry isn't enough. I know I can never undo what I did. But I needed you to know that you were right. About all of it. Tell Emily I'm sorry. Tell your mother I'm sorry. I hope one day I can become someone who deserves forgiveness, even if I never receive it." I read the letter once, then filed it away without responding. An apology born from consequences isn't an apology, it's a negotiation. Trevor wasn't sorry he'd hurt us. He was sorry his actions had cost him everything. Emily's response when I showed her the letter was even more dismissive. He's sorry he got caught, sorry his life is ruined, but he's not sorry for throwing food at Mom, or kicking Bailey, or locking me away for 3 weeks. He's sorry for himself. That's all men like him are capable of. She'd taken the letter, read it once, then methodically fed it through my office shredder. I don't need his apology. I need to make sure he can never do this to anyone else. And she did. Emily became an advocate, speaking at domestic violence awareness events, sharing her story with unflinching honesty. She created a foundation using the settlement money Trevor's insurance company had paid out after my mother sued him for emotional distress. The Warning Signs Project helped young women identify coercive control in relationships, provided resources, funded escape plans. Emily had turned her worst experience into a mission. The wedding venue that had canceled their contract and kept the $12,000 deposit, they donated it to Emily's foundation after she reached out. We see these situations more than people know, the event coordinator told her. Grooms who treat our staff terribly, brides who seem scared. We want to help prevent what almost happened to you. Trevor's life had become a case study in consequences. His name was synonymous with domestic abuse. His face was a warning. And Emily, who he'd tried to shrink and control, had become larger than he could ever imagine. 2 years after the trial, I received a notification from the parole board. Trevor was up for early release based on good behavior and completion of mandatory programs. The board was requesting victim impact statements. I organized a response that would ensure Trevor understood exactly what his fresh start would look like. My mother wrote about the nightmares she still had, the ceramic dish she could never replace, the way she flinched whenever someone raised their voice. My father described the $800 emergency vet bill that was the least of their concerns, how Bailey still cowered around men with Trevor's build. I documented the ongoing therapy costs, the security system we'd installed at Emily's new apartment, the way our family had been fundamentally altered by Trevor's violence. Emily's statement was 10 pages long, detailed, unflinching. She described the 3 weeks of isolation, the manipulation, the moment she realized she'd lost herself trying to save a relationship with a man who viewed her as property. She ended with a single sentence. Trevor Ashford should serve every single day of his sentence because even 4 years isn't enough time to undo the damage he's caused. The parole board denied his request. He'd serve the full 4 years, but I wasn't satisfied with just prison time. Trevor's real punishment was waiting for him on the outside. I'd spent 2 years ensuring that his re-entry into society would be as difficult as legally possible. Every domestic violence organization in the tri-state area had his photo and information. Every women's shelter had been briefed. His name was on watch lists for dating apps after I'd worked with tech companies to create abuser registries. Any woman who Googled him would find the video, the trial transcripts, the conviction. His digital footprint was a minefield. I'd also worked with Detective Chen to establish monitoring protocols. Trevor's probation terms were strict: mandatory counseling, random drug tests, GPS monitoring, prohibition from contacting anyone from our family, restrictions on internet use. One violation would send him back to prison. He'd be living in a surveillance cage of his own making. When Trevor was finally released, he emerged from prison 40 pounds lighter, visibly aged and unemployable. The video had been reposted again just weeks before his release by a popular true crime account with 30 million followers. "Whatever happened to Lasagna Guy?" the post asked, detailing his conviction and upcoming release. The comment section exploded with people vowing to make his life hell if he ever showed up in their communities. He moved into a halfway house in a town 40 miles from us. He got a job washing dishes at a truck stop, the only place that would hire him. His social media remained deactivated, but screenshots of his attempts to create new profiles under fake names were immediately exposed and reported. He couldn't escape himself. Meanwhile, Emily's foundation had grown exponentially. She'd been featured in national publications, interviewed on morning shows, invited to speak at colleges. The Warning Signs Project had helped over 2,000 women safely exit dangerous relationships. Emily had transformed from Trevor's victim into a force for change, while Trevor himself became exactly what he deserved: irrelevant. 6 months after his release, I was having lunch with Emily at our favorite cafe when her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. We both tensed, but Emily opened it. A photo of Trevor, standing outside a grocery store, looking haggard and lost. The message read, "Saw your ex. Looks like karma's working overtime. Stay strong." Emily smiled and deleted it without responding. People send me those sometimes, sightings of Trevor looking miserable. I used to feel something, anger or satisfaction or vindication. Now I just feel nothing. He's a stranger who once hurt me, that's all. That evening, I was home with Liam, now 10 years old, when he asked me about the tablet incident that had started everything. "Mom, do you think I did the right thing? Streaming that day? Sometimes I feel bad that I recorded Uncle Trevor's worst moment." I knelt down to his level. "You didn't record his worst moment, honey. You recorded his true self. The Trevor he'd been hiding from everyone. You didn't cause what happened, you just revealed what was already there. And because of your accidental live stream, your aunt got away from someone who would have seriously hurt her. You should be proud." "Is Aunt Emily happy now?" he asked. I thought about my sister, thriving in ways that would have been impossible with Trevor in her life. Creating art that galleries fought to display. Dating again, carefully but hopefully. Laughing freely without monitoring Trevor's mood. Living in an apartment she'd chosen, decorated with her style, filled with her energy. "Yes," I told Liam. "She's happy. Really, genuinely happy." On the anniversary of the viral video, Emily posted a photo on her foundation's page. It was her, standing in front of one of her paintings, smiling broadly. The caption read, "3 years ago today, my family's Sunday dinner was crashed by a live stream that changed my life. At the time, I thought the video destroyed everything. Now I understand it saved me. To everyone who reached out, who shared resources, who refused to let my story fade, thank you. And to anyone currently in a controlling relationship, wondering if it's bad enough to leave, it is. You deserve better. You deserve freedom. You deserve a life where you're not walking on eggshells or making yourself smaller. That life is waiting for you." The post went viral again, shared hundreds of thousands of times. Trevor's name trended alongside it, a permanent reminder of what he'd done. I read through the comments, thousands of people sharing their own stories, thanking Emily for her bravery, celebrating her survival. And buried deep in the thread, I found one comment that made me smile. "Remember when people said revenge wasn't worth it? This isn't revenge, this is justice, and it's beautiful." I screenshot the comment and sent it to Emily. She responded immediately. "Revenge would have been stooping to his level. Justice is living so well that his existence becomes meaningless. I choose justice every time." My sister was right. Trevor was serving a life sentence of his own making, condemned to be forever known as the man whose cruelty was captured on video for the world to judge. His name would never be cleared. His reputation would never recover. And every time someone searched for him, they'd find the same story. A controlling, violent man who lost everything because he couldn't control his rage. Emily, meanwhile, had won without ever seeking revenge. She'd built a life on her terms, helped thousands of women escape similar situations, and turned her pain into purpose. She'd become everything Trevor had tried to prevent her from being: strong, independent, successful, and free. I sat in my office late that night, looking at photos from our family dinner the previous Sunday. Emily laughing with our parents, healthy and whole. Bailey asleep under the table, fully recovered. Liam showing everyone his latest science project. Trevor wasn't in any of the photos. He wasn't mentioned in conversation. He was simply gone, erased from our lives except as a cautionary tale. The last I heard about Trevor came from Detective Chen 6 months later. He'd violated his probation by creating a fake social media profile to stalk his new coworker, back to prison for 3 more years. "Some people never learn," Chen said. "He's going to spend his life bouncing between prison and surveillance, because he fundamentally cannot accept that his actions have consequences." I didn't tell Emily about the violation. She'd moved past needing updates about Trevor's failures. She was too busy living a life he'd tried to steal from her, a life she'd fought to reclaim, a life that proved the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's becoming so successful, so happy, so free that your abuser becomes nothing more than a footnote in your origin story. And Trevor? He was exactly where he belonged, forgotten, irrelevant, and suffering every consequence he'd earned.